Please join me as we light the chalice, order service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we live together in.
Good morning. My name is Charlie Tyler. I'm the pastoral minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. It's my pleasure to open our doors to you stragglers who have managed to make it through the storm. By the way, I've had a note come to my phone that noahsark.com can be open now, and you may be able to make reservations as soon as you can. Just follow the animals 2 by 2 down to the marina, and you'll be fine. So I want to acknowledge those of you who are guests and visitors today, particularly the kids from DAYLO. I don't know about you, but I see adults from DAYLO over here, and looking forward to having them come. I'm wondering if each of you would be okay just to stand and give us your first name. I'll let you go first. Yes.
I'm Claire Bennett. My name is Vicki Thompson. Hi, my name is Millie. Hi, my name is Zoe.
Are there any other first-time guests or visitors with this that would be willing to acknowledge yourself? Jonathan, absolutely. He'll be speaking here in just a moment. Others? So we have the some announcements that I need to make. I want to draw your attention to the music on Malfris, Friday, January 5th. John Shane and F.J. Venter, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And on the 20th, Brooks Williams will be in performance here. We're looking forward to hearing that. As you look through the rest of your announcements, you see that our theme for this month is mystery. We have services today, and then on the 24th, we will be celebrating our candlelight service. And Bethany Reinders will be speaking on Sunday, December 31st. Bethany, where are you? Stand, if you would, please. Just to get, she is going to be speaking, and we're rooting for Beth. Some of you have heard her in the past and know she brings some talent here, so congratulations. This is a note from the Care Committee that they will meet directly after the service today. Is that right? Please come to the Clara Barton room right away so that we can be finished before the talk back. We'll start with a group hug, yay. And so we look forward to that. And I know, Betsy, that you have a lengthier announcement that you need to make. So if you would, please.
This is a hard one for me. It's about Kathy Quirk. Kathy's a close-time friend, and she's a long-time beloved member of UUCL. She has a white ponytail, for those of you that are new and may not know who she is, and a constant bright smile on her face. And Kathy Zeiser, are you here? She had to go. Okay, but she looks a lot like Kathy. Kathy was walking in Moss Creek 2 weeks ago with a friend, and the friend noticed something unusual and concerning. I don't know what it was, but she called Kathy's daughter because she knew Kathy was going to be visiting there soon, and she called her with her concern. So when Kathy got to California, she went to the ER, and they found a cancerous mass in her lung and her brain. Her family gathered from various locations to New York City, and now Kathy is being cared for at Sloan Kettering. She's staying with her sister in New York, and I tacked up the New York address on the easel in the back of the lobby, or the front of the lobby, however you look at it. I think the best way for me to share information is to share the emails Kathy has sent me. She says, "Dearest Betsy, we are expecting that my treatment plan at MSK, Sloan Kettering, will evolve over a somewhat extended period. The team includes brain, thoracic, that's lung, and oncology specialists. There's some possibility for a targeted therapy if the lung cancer is a mutation. And last week, Kathy had a lung biopsy, and we don't know the results of that yet. My team is scheduled for a review on January 4th. Kate and maybe all three will be here for that, and by all three, she means she's had a team with her sister and her daughter, so that's the three of them. I'm going in for occasional procedures and receive incredibly regular phone contact with staff, an amazing gift to have this level of care that will be an evolving process. I walk every morning 4 miles to the great Southern Bay here at my sister's in Bayport in the brilliant winter sun. It's a great mystery to feel so strong and healthy and learn that you are at such an advanced cancer stage. We are packing our time with family joy. We'll have Christmas in Montreal and then drive back to New York on the 26th and spend a week together in the city at a friend's place. It will be a lovely time with the girls, and the girls, I think, are her granddaughters. I hope that's enough of an update for now," she says. Kathy's a good teacher for all of us at this time. She counts her blessings. 1, she has lots of family support and togetherness. 2, she's feeling healthy and vibrant at this time. And 3, she has the best of care at Sloan Kettering, which is a major cancer center. And you know, she's doing her best to stay in the moment and find joy along the way. So life is filled with so many surprises, good ones and very difficult ones, and mysteries. And this is our theme this month, is mystery. So Kathy has her mystery. Thank you for listening and for caring and for your compassion and your love.
Good morning, everyone. Sound remarkably cheerful for being wet and cold. Thank you all for coming out on this morning. I'm Jonathan Haupt. I'm the Executive Director of the Pat Conroy Literary Center, and in a few moments you'll be hearing from the inspiring students of DAYLO. As one of their mentors, I'm endlessly proud of not only who they are, but who they are becoming, and I'm grateful to you all for inviting them this morning. I've had the benefit of some extraordinary mentors in my own life, and one of them was a little bit famous. You may have heard of him. His name was Pat Conroy. He wrote about his own faith, both in the humanistic and spiritual sense of that word, in all 12 of his books. Conversations about the faith of Pat Conroy with DAYLO's creator, Holland Perryman, who is the daughter of a Presbyterian minister, spawned over time a program that we've gotten to give many times called The Faith of Pat Conroy. We've done that conversation for many different audiences. And this morning, for opening words, I want to share with you the brief centerpiece that is the middle part of that presentation, because I think it's directly related to a belief that is also central to the mission of this congregation, and indeed to the very idea of education, public education in particular, the right to freedom of belief and the individual search for truth and meaning. Over the course of his lifetime, Mr. Conroy also came to believe wholeheartedly in an individualistic faith, which he honored and expressed in the way that became most meaningful to him, the act of creating, the act of being an artist, of being a storyteller, of being a writer. So what I want to read for you this morning as opening words comes to us from the Gospel of Pat Conroy, or Beach Music as it is more commonly known, a relatively brief tome, very concise as you can see. This is a brief segment that comes from the point of view of the narrator, Jack McCall, after he's just been injured in a terrorist bombing. So he's seen the absolute worst of humanity, and he feels as though he is losing his faith. He's not even sure what that word means to him anymore. And he's visited by his childhood friend, Jordan Elliott, who at this point in the story is a Trappist monk on the run from Interpol, as so many Trappist monks often are. And they have a dialogue in which Jack confesses that he's losing his faith, and Jordan tries to convince him that he's absolutely not, that in fact he's finding it. On the page, that's what's happening. It's a conversation between two friends. Off the page, it's the writer Pat Conroy finally giving himself permission to practice his own faith in the most individual way possible, in the way that's been most meaningful to him by being a writer. So this is that short conversation, beginning with Father Elliott. God's patient, Jack. He'll wait. No, he won't. He doesn't exist. At least not for me, he doesn't. That's not true, Jordan replied. He exists for all of us in different ways. Prove to me there's a God, I said. Prove to me there's not one. That's not much of an answer. It's not much of a question either. At least try, I urged. Tell me about the beauty of the sunsets or the grand design of snowflakes. Tell me in words, no matter how stupid or silly, why you believe in God. Jordan sighed. Jack, the wing of a fly is proof enough of the existence of God to me. I've lost my faith, I said. I used to have it, but I lost it, and I can't seem to get it back. I don't even know if I want it back, Jordan. I've forgotten how to pray. You're praying right now, Jack. You're on a quest. It takes different forms for all of us. Thank you for listening and for practicing your spiritual and humanistic faith in whatever way is most meaningful to you.
Thank you, Jonathan. If you would please now take your hymnals in your hands and turn with me, if you will, to hymn number 3. Excuse me. Turn the page. Charlie, hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Thank you. May we stand and sing together. Thank you. You may be seated.
I'm happy to see the brave souls who decided to swim to church this morning. I hope you didn't hydroplane. That's a frightening experience, even if you come through it in the end. And I see that you've brought a lot of things for our special food collection for the food pantry. And if you have brought it and haven't placed it in the back of the sanctuary, please do that at the end of the service. There's a table, you'll see, loaded with bags. And in the meantime, we will collect your contributions for the support of this congregation. Thank you for your generosity to UUCL. And speaking of generosity and contributions, I want to let you know that last year we decided to go with live trees instead of the multiple artificial trees that we had. And our tree from last year is planted out in front. The tree for this year was donated by Rosemary Staples, and we appreciate that very much.
Now is the time in our service for joys and concerns. People want to express whatever feelings they might have that are bring them joy and happiness and concerns of whatever level. No political announcements. If you will want to do a joy and concern, please come up, state your name, and take a stone from the basket. And state your joy and concern, and then place it in the cairn. Please. Head of our congregation.
Good morning, I'm Clay. I wanted to share with you joy and concern. So I got up this morning about 7 o'clock, pretty groggy, and I walk into my closet, and my feet get wet all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, what's happening? So went out and I hustle around and figure out how to cover up that part of the whatevers. And it gets down to just a little drip, drip, drip. But we're moving as quick as we can. We're trying to get to church. We're not paying attention to the fact that it's a downpour. I mean, it's really coming down. We're literally not paying attention to that. So we get in the car. We start coming over the bridge. And the bridge was just awful. It was like it was a hurricane out there. And then Lynette turns to me and said, well, who would be responsible for shutting the church down this morning? And I said, oh my God, that's me. So this is my way of apologizing that we should have canceled, but you guys are wonderful for showing up.
And just so you know, any man that's on his roof at 7 o'clock in the morning putting down tarp in this downpour deserves all the credit he gets, right? Well done, Clay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rosemary, and this is really kind of silly, but I've lived here 30 years, right? I got lost on my way over here today. When I leave Hilton Head, I always take the flyway. And when I come back to Hilton Head, I always take 278. So I'm only seeing one side of each road, right? Well, because of the rain, I was concerned about going on the flyway today. So I get on 278. And I completely missed Lowe's. I completely missed Target. I'm over there on 46, and I'm going, how did I miss this? So I take a shortcut, and I wind up through this winding road, and I come out on where the Buford admin offices are, and then I finally, okay, now I'm on Bluffton Parkway. I know where I am. And I come and I see this intersection, and it's called Malfris Road. And I go, well, maybe it's called Malfris Road on the other side. So I take a right on Malfris Road and go down, and it's the wrong way, right? And hydroplane in the meantime. Fortunately, I'm okay. I turn back around, take a right. I finally make it to UU from the other side of Bluffton, which is more like I never do. But anyway, what I was thinking about it is how I have a tendency to get into the groove of doing the same thing the same way over and over, and then when I am doing it differently, I forget it. So the moral of the story is to vary the way that we do things so that our brain isn't so synced. And it was kind of funny because I really thought I was going all the way back to Hilton Head. I thought I had missed everything. I'm just driving around in this hell of a storm. But I'm glad we're all here safe today.
Hi, my name is Janice, and I've just started coming back recently to UU, but I'm a long-term member, I think, about 15 years. Because my excuse is I was working on Sunday, every Sunday for the past 4 years, and now I don't have that job anymore. And I have a concern, and it's a very big concern to me, but it's kind of a small concern in the scheme of things, so it's a little hard for me to talk about it. But for those of you who know dogs are my passion and my life. I've worked in animal shelters, and most recently I've been a dog trainer for a number of years. And my own dog recently got very ill. I took him to my vet, and he had fluid in his abdomen, and so she sent me immediately to the emergency vet clinic, New River, which I'm really grateful we have here. And it took about $8,000, about a day and a half for them to figure out what was wrong with him. And unfortunately, it is a progressive, non-curable kidney illness. But it really did cost $8,000 to come up with the diagnosis. It was very challenging. Ultrasounds and CAT scans and tests sent to North Carolina University to figure out what was going on. It's called, if you want to know, protein-losing nephropathy. I've never heard of it. Apparently people get it as well. So I also mentioned that I don't work on Sundays anymore because just a month or two ago, I reduced the number of jobs I'm working from 3 to 2. And one of the 2 that I'm still working, which is pet sitting, has really diminished. I've lost a couple of pet sitting clients. So I'm essentially working part-time at the library. My hope was to take dog training and make it a business that I was running as well as doing so that I could actually perhaps get paid what I'm worth rather than doing that for a big box store where I was getting paid retail dollars. Anyway, I have no money. And I have decided to start a GoFundMe, which I've never done before, and it's really scary. I asked a friend to help write my story and edit it for me, and I'm hopeful that another friend of mine who's brilliant with the camera is going to take some pictures for me today. So if you see some Facebook posts or some texts or emails, bear my Zen in mind. I could really use the help getting through, paying his vet bills, and maybe making a new start in my life as a dog trainer.
Hi, my name's Jim Lamke, as you probably know. I just want to express my gratitude to David Sarah. Last week, I called him up to get some tickets for the concert last Friday. And because my cousin from Nashville was coming to town on Wednesday, but they got delayed because her husband got food poisoning. And so they were coming in on Friday, and I know they would enjoy the concert, so I called David to find out how I could order the tickets. And in the course of his explaining it to me, he had ordered the tickets for me, so all I had to do was tell him my credit card number, and when we arrived, the tickets were waiting. And it may not seem like much, but this really, the extra effort that he put in to get the tickets for me meant a great deal, and I just want to let him know. David, thank you very much.
Take 2 stones from the basket and place them in the cairn for the joys and concerns that are not expressed. Please join me, affirmation on 4, 3, 1 in your. Ready? No. O spinner, weaver of our lives, your loom is love. May we who are gathered here be empowered by that love to weave new patterns of truth and justice into a web of life that is strong, beautiful, and everlasting.
The Diversity Awareness Youth Literacy Organization, or DAYLO, is a student-led, mentor-advised high school book club founded in 2021. Now with chapters in Beaufort, in Charleston, and Columbia, DAYLO has taken an active stance in pro-literacy, anti-censorship advocacy, and has been featured nationally in Education Week, Book Riot, and Publishers Weekly, as well as the Charleston Post and Courier. DAYLO student leaders have spoken at annual conferences of the American Library Association, Palmetto State Literacy Association, and the South Carolina Council of the Teachers of English. Earlier this year, DAYLO was recognized with a national commendation from the American Association of School Librarians at the recommendation of the South Carolina Association of School Librarians. This morning's DAYLO presenters will be introduced by Zoe Way, co-founder of the DAYLO chapter at Battery Creek High School, where she is also the senior class president, founding president of Coalition Z, the president of the National Honor Society. I'm exhausted. Zoe was very recently, as in yesterday, announced as the 2024 recipient of the Foundation for Leadership Education Lighthouse Scholarship. Let's please welcome and congratulate Zoe. Zoe.
Good morning, and thank you for welcoming us into your fellowship today. I am Zoe Way. I'm a senior at Battery Creek High School. So the drive from north of the Broad was quite interesting today. We're excited to share with you some of our experiences in DAYLO as members of a diversity-themed book club, as pro-literacy student servant leaders, and as anti-censorship youth advocates. To do all of that, we have the benefit of fellow DAYLO student leaders Mickey Thompson and Millie Bennett, and our mentors Claire Bennett and Jonathan Haupt. Mickey is a freshman at USC Beaufort, where she is majoring in biology and soon to be leader of our first college-based DAYLO chapter. Earlier this year, as a senior at Beaufort High School, Mickey won the Ann Head Literary Prize for Short Story. That's another. Millie Bennett is a freshman in the College of Charleston Honors Program, where she is a visual arts major minoring in women's and gender studies. Millie is past president of the Beaufort High chapter of DAYLO and a past intern of the Pat Conroy Literary Center. Millie's mother, Miss Bennett, is the Media Center coordinator and DAYLO advisor at Beaufort Academy, and Mr. Haupt is the executive director of the Pat Conroy Center. Please join me in welcoming our DAYLO presenters.
We're a very joyful group this morning. I appreciate that we are. So I'm going to get us started, and we're each going to take a few minutes to tell you about a different aspect of DAYLO. But as a framework for that, and really as for helping to understand the reason that we were invited today and are invited so often to give programs like this, DAYLO has become a national model for student-led advocacy and responses to book bans and book censorship, education censorship. And as you may know, because it's been a year-long story, there was an enormous attempt to ban books here in Beaufort County. almost a year ago, 2 community members issued a complaint, a challenge, as we say, against a total of what seemed to be 97 books on the grounds that they were inappropriate for student access. And even the most basic overview and understanding and accounting of those books made clear that an abundance of them were focused on stories of people of color, of members of the LGBTQ plus community, and stories that were empowering to women in particular. So the underpinnings of the challenge were obvious, I think, to many of us from the start. After a year and close to $10,000 in documented expenses, and who knows how much in undocumented expenses and volunteer hours, the result of that book challenge is that of those 97 books, 91 have been returned to student access. 5 of them were banned for a period of 5 years before they can be reconsidered by the school district. And in the strangest and frankly dumbest plot twist of the whole story, one of the books turned out to never have been in the libraries in the first place, which tells us quite a lot about the level of research done by the complainants. But DAYLO was able to respond to all of that so quickly and so powerfully and so meaningfully because DAYLO already existed. DAYLO was already here and active in our community. The story of DAYLO actually begins in the way back time of 2019 when Beaufort High School, in conversation and partnership with the Pat Conroy Literary Center, welcomed a rising star in young adult literature, a novelist named Nick Stone, who had just written a first book called Dear Martin, and that was accepted for a school-wide reading program at Beaufort High School. So all 1,300 students were given copies of this social justice-themed novel that was really an attempt to understand whether or not the legacy of Dr. King was still relevant in the lives of teenagers to this day. And they read that book, and they discussed that book, and they had an opportunity to meet with the author, Nick Stone. They were also invited to respond creatively to that book through art, through stories, through whatever way they wanted to express some connection to that book. And 25 competition winners who had responded creatively were chosen for a lunch with Nick when she visited that school. Among them was freshman class president Holland Perryman, who was so moved by what one book and one author and one day of this kind of engagement with literature could do in a very positive way for her school, she wanted to have a larger role in that. So about 2 weeks later, she manifested at the Pat Conroy Literary Center and insisted I create a student internship that did not exist, as 14-year-olds sometimes do. I tried to get rid of her. It was a little unsuccessful, so much so that I now have a surrogate daughter who is as close to me as any family member. But Holland and I created a student internship together, and during the first 2 years of that internship, it became routine for her to have famous, well-known, accomplished authors in her daily life, and to see the impact that their books, their stories, their lives could have on people. And she started thinking about how to do something with that in a more impactful way that she could create, that really could be something that she added to the conversation. In April of 2021, when we were in the middle of a pandemic, as you all might remember, and also in the middle of the Black Lives Matter movement, Holland was compelled to create DAYLO, the Diversity Awareness Youth Literacy Organization. She did it over spring break, as 16-year-olds do sometimes. And it went from being an idea she had to being the largest student chartered organization in the history of Beaufort High School. In the first year that DAYLO existed, the students of DAYLO were invited to speak at both of our statewide English teacher conferences. And at neither of those conferences were there any discussions of book bans or censorship. That wasn't even on anybody's radar at that time. Holland and Millie, who's on stage now, and another student from DAYLO, Alicia Aurora, became the public face of DAYLO, and they were welcomed open-armed at both conferences. Along the way, Millie's mom, Claire Bennett, was motivated to create a second chapter for DAYLO at Beaufort High School. DAYLO was, from the very beginning, a student-led book club, and it still is. Come on, there we go. And I want to invite Claire and Mrs. Bennett to talk about how DAYLO functions as a book club.
Good morning, everybody. So DAYLO is first and foremost a student book club, a high school book club. Can you not hear me? Is that better?
Yeah, okay.
It's quiet. So I have a chapter of DAYLO at Beaufort Academy that is a 9th through 12th grade book club, and We read, the whole point of DAYLO is to read books from diverse points of view in order to foster empathy in the community. And sometimes through our connection with the Pat Conroy Literary Center, we actually are able to meet with the authors of books. Just this past week, the Beaufort Academy chapter finished You Truly Assumed by author Layla Sabrine, who has been a guest of the Conroy Center before, and she was able to meet virtually with us and talk with our students and discuss the themes in the book. And actually her book is very directly relatable to DAYLO because it's about a group of teenage advocates who come together to fight a problem. So that is the main focus of DAYLO and our original focus. And in my opinion, the part of the club that has enabled us to do the advocacy work that we have been doing because of censorship. The conversations that we have when we're reading these tough books about tough topics really create relationships that are trusting and allow the students to do the hard work of speaking at school board meetings and advocating for their peers.
Hi. So DAYLO has always believed in community service as well. DAYLO's recent book drive. Okay. DAYLO's recent book drive collected more than 120 pro-library and pro-literacy books for distribution to our Beaufort County School District libraries in collaboration with the Storybook Shop and Sun City Democratic Club. In November of 2021, DAYLO held our first Teddy Bear Picnic, which is a free community literacy read-aloud event for younger readers and their families. In 2022, DAYLO began our Teddy Bear Picnic partnership with the Port Royal Farmers Market. It's now a popular twice-monthly program at which DAYLO students from all of our Beaufort chapters volunteer their time. In 2023, DAYLO also began being invited to participate in family literacy nights in some of our Title I schools, including Well Branch Elementary, Broad River Elementary, and James J. Davis Early Childhood Learning Center. At these events, DAYLO students read to our younger peers and often bring local children's books, authors, and artists with us. Beginning with this year's Banned Books Week, DAYLO has now also restocks more than a dozen little free libraries across Beaufort and Port Royal with pro-library, pro-literacy books, making them freely available to our community. Each DAYLO chapter now has a set of little libraries they take care of, including 2 libraries which DAYLO created. DAYLO also collaborates with the Conroy Center and other community partners on the Beaufort Human Library Project, which fosters empathy and understanding through conversations with volunteer human books. DAYLO students serve as bookmarks to coordinate the event. One of DAYLO's student leaders, Zoe Way, has also replicated the Human Library Project at Battery Creek High School in partnership with her school's chapter of Coalition Z. And I also wanted to mention that just yesterday, 50 books were donated from the Storybook Shop on behalf of the generous liberal ladies of the Low Country.
Did you search it before? Let's see. There we go. So we've heard a little bit about, just get this, we're all different heights and it's a little frustrating. Hi, so we've heard a little bit about the books being challenged and how DAYLO works as a book club, but I want to talk to you about how DAYLO works as an advocacy group. So in late 2022, in response to the books being banned, I was president of the Beaufort High School chapter, and Lizzie Foster was president of the Beaufort Academy chapter. And we decided that we needed to use our platforms on pro-literacy and diverse literature that already existed to work together and bring attention to this to the board. So we started going to school board meetings, but before we even got to our first school board meeting, there was a girl from Battery Creek High School. Her name is Isabella Troy Brazoban, and she ended up speaking at a school board meeting before we could even get to them, and she spoke so eloquently about the importance of these books being in our school libraries and available to our kids, especially in a county where the school libraries and classroom libraries are the biggest point of access to books for our students. So after watching her stand up to the board and stand up for herself and her community, we followed her lead
and collected some of our DAYLO students from Beaufort Academy and Beaufort High School to work together and speak together. And that included me and my friend Madeline Confair from Beaufort High School, as well as Patrick Good and Peter Cooper from Beaufort Academy. So we spoke at nearly every school board meeting for about a year, I think, right? About 9 months, that's like a year to me. And we tried to have as big an impact as we could when speaking out and hoping that the student voices would kind of triumph over adults who thought that they were doing what was best for either our interests, as they say, or their own interests. And it worked. I mean, we've got 91 books back on the shelf, but it also, those decisions, we were quoted as an important factor in their decisions to return those books to those shelves, which is really important to us and really important in our work going forward. Yeah. After our kind of sort of successful romp at the school board meeting, we ended up being invited to the South Carolina ACLU, by the South Carolina ACLU, to address the Senate Subcommittee on Education in opposition to House Bill 3728. So glad I have that number in front of me so I don't have to remember it. Which, that House bill was an education censorship bill that would affect all of us statewide and basically undo all of the work we've been doing for about a year. We also managed to meet with representatives and fellow advocates and spoke at a rally on the State House steps. I did not speak at a rally. I was very tired that day. But Izzy and Lizzie up there with their matching names spoke, and it was really empowering for both of them. Yeah. So our successes with the state and the local school board also attracted the attention of 2 documentary filmmakers. It was a little intense to have 2, but thankfully they just worked together, which is good. But really what the documentary filmmakers provided for us was the ability to spread our voices even farther and to an even wider audience. So from that connections, we were able to make 2 trips to Washington, D.C. and a trip to Chicago. I gotta tell you, that was the busiest June of my life. I don't think I'd ever slept less, but it was really important and it was really fun because we got to meet with Congressman Jamie Raskin, authors, many of which actually had their books banned on our list. Jodi Picoult, her book has been permanently banned for about 5 years till it can be reconsidered, but we got to meet with her and Ellen Hopkins and Juno Dawson, author of This Book is Gay. And meeting with them was just so impactful and realizing what our work has been doing and what it needs to continue to do for our county. Yeah. We also got to meet with some inspirations for DAYLO. Which one are they? All the way over there to the right is Peru, which is the Panther Anti-Racist Union, and they dealt with similar book bans in Pennsylvania? Northern state, I don't know. So meeting with them was really important to realize that we were not alone in this, not just from adult support, but also in teenagers working together as well. During one of our trips to Chicago, we were invited to attend and speak at the American Library Association, or the ALA, which was a national convention in Chicago. We got to meet fellow advocates there, such as the Peru student. No, that was DC. We got to meet other advocates there that were not the Peru students. And we also got to meet with best-selling authors, Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote Stamped, and his book was also on our list, Juno Dawson, Ella Hopkins, as well as the Illinois Secretary of State, who banned book bans. Like the first time that's ever happened. It was really cool. We got to walk in Pride with him. It was my first Pride too, so it was just all around a very cool experience. We also visited the American Writer Museum and spoke with its director. And that photo is, I think, where we're sitting down. Sitting down. There it is. So since then, we have been invited to speak at numerous local and statewide events, including Low Country Pride, Indivisible Beaufort, for Violent Democrats, and now you guys. So it's just been a really important journey for our students who are learning how to take their place in a world of advocacy and stand their ground for what they believe in and who they are. And it's also just been really important for us to, I think, work together and realize kind of how we work within this world. But also with working in that, we also have to let our students just be students sometimes. And sometimes that means that, according to Mr. Haupt, who made this presentation, we are a little goofy, a little silly up here. So we want to make sure that our students have time to smile and not just be advocates. They are students, they are teenagers, and we like to have fun, and we like to smile, and we like to mess around a little bit. So that's why I'm a little giggly up here. But yeah, thank you so much. All right, so this is a theme. Nobody changes the slide over for the next person. You can do it. Again, we are different heights. So one way to help, goodness, DAYLO is to buy us books. We have a list of pro-literacy books about youth advocacy, book bans, and libraries available for online or in-store purchase through our friends at the Storybook Shop in Bluffton. We'll use these books to educate and inspire other youth advocates. DAYLO is also developing of the Youth Advocacy Toolkit, kind of a mouthful, for the national resource website Get Ready, Stay Ready. The site also features existing and developing tools for adult advocates and educators as well. So if any of you adults in the room have any educators in your life, or if you would like to go take a look, check out the Get Ready, Stay Ready website. The next slide, one very specific way which you can advocate for the freedom to read is to contact our local representation on the State Board of Education to let her know that you oppose censorship in public education and support the rights of students and educators to read, to teach, and to learn. There's more than one way to be a pro-literary advocate. Here are several ways, both big and small, in which you too can help. So any of these that are listed on the screen, if you guys feel free to take pictures as well if you want. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all. And we look forward to any future discussions during the talkback session. Thank you.
If you would please now take your hymnals in your hands, turn with me, if you will, to hymn number 331, and may we stand together and sing Life is the Greatest Gift. rejoice in the DAYLO young adults that are here in the room today, giving us hope. Giving us hope for the leadership in our country, and we count on you moving forward. I also could not help but notice Jonathan's Converse All-Stars that he was wearing today. I don't see them out on many people's feet often, so I made a note of it. He said, I have 34 more pair at home. True? Yeah? Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't making that up. And so, Jonathan, I'm going to ask you for your closing remarks, if you would, please.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you all again. In closing, I want to circle back around to Mr. Conroy one more time. He encountered censorship at two key points in his life. At one point, when he was the same age as the DAYLO students, and he was a student at Beaufort High School, when the Catcher in the Rye was challenged in 1962, and Pat's English teacher, his lifelong mentor, in many ways his surrogate father, Gene Norris, stood up to the school board and the parents in the community and successfully defended that book, teaching Pat how to do it. So many years later, when Mr. Conroy's own books were banned, he was more than prepared to do as these students are doing right now, stand up for the right to read. Pat wrote in 2007 an often quoted letter to the editor of the Charleston, West Virginia Gazette at the invitation of a high school student named Mackenzie Hatfield, when two of Pat's books, Beach Music, which I quoted from in opening words, and Prince of Tides were banned. That letter exists on Mr. Conroy's website to this day. And Pat, by the way, was afraid of electricity. He had no idea he had a website. He had no idea. He's never seen it, never once saw it. But it's out there for everybody else to see. And I want to share just a brief paragraph from that about the idea of literature and reading and censorship. So this is 62-year-old Pat Conroy writing this letter. Few in the world have ever loved English teachers as I have, and I loathe it when they are bullied by know-nothing parents and cowardly school boards. The world of literature has everything in it, and it refuses to leave anything out. I have read like a man on fire my whole life because of the genius of English teachers who touched me with the dazzling beauty of language. Because of them, I rode with Don Quixote and danced with Anna Karenina and walked the streets of Dublin and Ulysses, and made up 100 stories in the Arabian Nights, and saw my mother killed by a baseball and a prayer for Owen Meany. I've been in 10,000 cities and have introduced myself to 100,000 strangers because of my exuberant reading life, all because I listened to my fabulous English teachers and soaked up every single thing those magnificent men and women had to give. I cherish and praise them and thank them for finding me when I was a boy and presenting me with the precious gift of the English language. The school board of Charleston, West Virginia, has sullied that gift and shamed themselves and their community. You've now entered the ranks of censors and book banners and teacher haters, and the word will spread. But here is my favorite thing. Because you have banned my books, every kid in that county will read them. Every single one of them. Because book banners are invariably idiots, and they don't know how the world works, but writers and students and English teachers do. Thank you.
Yeah. I neglected to underscore the talk back that will take place later. You have access to some great kids, and I hope you guys can stay put and pick their brains just a little bit. So thank you. Cheryl.
Will you join me in extinguishing the chalice? The words are in your order of service.
While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
I was
Right.
Recovering. Was your daughter came and your son, and they went over to the Preston and got you and brought you over, and then Mark was there too. I can't remember who I was with.
Yeah.
I was with somebody else. And then I look up and maybe I was by myself.